Greetings and welcome to another Pokemon 2019 or Pokemon Journeys anime episode review. This time I'm talking about episode 91, so let's get to it. Episode 91 begins in Wyndon Station in the Galar Region. Ash and Goh arrive at the station via train. Ash says we are here at last, but Goh points out that they still must take another train to reach their true destination, Stow-on-Side. Now it is not revealed in this episode why Ash and Goh want to go to Stow-on-Side, but this will probably be revealed in the next episode. So Ash walks backwards while asking Goh about the next train that they need to take, and Ash bumps into a boy by mistake. Now we the audience know that this is Allister, but Ash and Goh don't know who he is at this point, therefore I will not refer to Allister by name for most of the review, just to keep in line with the narrative. Ash apologizes but the boy leaves without saying anything, and he leaves his ticket behind. Ash picks up the ticket and he attempts to return it but the boy keeps running. Ash and Goh decide to chase the boy in order to return the ticket, which plays out like a classic scene from a horror movie where a character or characters chase a mysterious something or someone out of curiosity or to return something or to ask something, and said mysterious something or someone leads the characters to something that kickstarts the horror. Ash and Goh chase the boy to a door that has a 0 on it. I figured that this probably means that this is platform 0, meaning a platform that technically does not exist. Ash and Goh decide to open the door and they head down some stairs. While they don't find the boy, they do end up finding a train that looks normal. But the area around the train is clearly not normal. It's dark, foggy, and scary. They also do show us that there are ghost-type Pokemon aboard the train, namely a Sinistea and a Pumpkaboo, which makes it clear to us, the audience, that this train is certainly not normal. But Ash and Goh don't know this yet. A voice then says that Platform 0, Stow-on-Side line is about to depart. Passengers bound for this line, please enter the train now. This confirms that this is indeed Platform 0. Since this train is going to Stow-on-Side, which is where Ash and Goh want to go, they decide to get on the train even though this train is in such a creepy looking platform that is clearly abandoned. And the voice even says the ghost train will now depart, which should raise some red flags, but Ash and Goh still get on the train, which soon departs. Now it's cool that before Ash and Goh get on the train, you can see that the boy they are looking for does enter the train in the background. It's difficult to see since it happens so fast, but it is a cool detail that adds to the scary factor of the episode. Pikachu and Ash do seem to notice the boy, but they don't say anything about it. Aboard the train, Goh wonders if this train was really called the Ghost Train earlier. He really should have questioned this sooner. Ash simply says, did they? Well, if it is going to Stow-on-Side, then it is all good. Which is true, yeah, but I do think that you would want to get to your destination safely. Ash then says that he must also return the ticket. Goh notes that the ticket has a 1 on it, which indicates that the boy should be in the passenger car that is at the very front of the train. So Ash and Goh decide to make their way here. They soon enter a fancy looking train car that has an altar with a stone on it. So at this point, when I was watching the episode, I knew exactly what this stone was because of the preview for this episode. Ash decides to get a closer look at the stone, and Grookey, who is playing around, ends up crashing into Ash, and Ash ends up headbutting the stone, knocking it off the altar. Ash and Goh then try to put the stone back on the altar, but the stone is too heavy, and they can't lift it. It really makes you wonder how Ash was able to push the stone off the altar with a headbutt in the first place, when the stone is so heavy that Ash and Goh cannot lift it even when they tried together. Also, I love that Grookey is dancing in the background like, you can do it guys, or maybe Grookey is just happy because it caused mayhem. Ash does wonder why the stone is so heavy, but he ultimately decides to leave the stone here, saying that they will ask someone to help them put the stone back in its place. However, this green light emanates from the stone and said light transfers over to Ash's body. Now Ash himself does not notice this, but Pikachu, Goh, and Grookey do notice. Goh wonders if Ash is fine, and Ash says that he is, so Goh drops the subject since Ash does seem to be fine. They then decide to keep going. But as they leave this train car, the stone lights up and Ash suddenly has a scary and creepy expression, which shows that he is definitely not fine. In the next train car, Ash's face is back to normal. However, the lights turn off. Ash's face transforms once again and Goh gets scared because there is something in the next train car. The lights soon turn back on. Ash's face goes back to normal and he wonders why Goh is scared. Goh is confused because Ash did not see anything. The lights turn off yet again and Ash once again has a scary face. With this scary face, Ash again wonders why Goh is so scared, and he says that it's funny that Goh is so terrified. The lights turn back on, Ash goes back to normal, and he wonders again what's going on. The lights then turn off yet again, and Ash goes back to being scary once again. He says that even Pikachu is scared, and he wonders if he is that scary. Scary Ash then pushes Goh into the next train car. The lights turn on again and Ash goes back to normal. He wonders what he is doing and he apologizes to Goh. Ash then stands next to a mirror. The lights turn off, which transforms Ash's face. The lights then turn back on again and Ash goes back to normal. Ash's reflection in the mirror changes as well when the lights flicker, which is a very cool shot. Especially since Ash then looks at the mirror in fear. It's like the mirror is showing Ash's other self, his dark side, the scary and evil side of him which Ash does not know about. Goh wonders what's gotten into Ash all of a sudden and Ash says, I think that there is something wrong with me. Jeez, you think? A group of drifloon then appear. Goh uses his Pokédex to get more information on them. The Pokédex says that drifloon drag children to the afterlife, so Goh is immediately on edge. He is afraid of the drifloon. The lights then turn off again and Ash transforms once again. Scary Ash grabs a bunch of drifloon and he wonders what's so scary about them. Here, normal Ash says, I am saying weird things again. This shows that the real Ash is still aware of what's going on, but he has no control of his body. Scary Ash then chases after Goh, who runs around, scared. It's funny that Scary Ash has more and more drifloon in hand as he chases Goh around. Scary Ash then pushes Goh into the next train car. And there are just so many drifloon on screen here. I really don't think that there were this many before. Scary Ash then laughs, saying that Goh is a riot. Meanwhile, Goh is confused because this does not look like the afterlife. He thinks that he was sent to the afterlife since he was hit with a bunch of drifloon. Goh's Pokédex then says that while drifloon do drag kids to the afterlife, sometimes the kids drag the drifloon instead. So Goh says, oh, you have to be kidding me. It's funny that the Pokédex only said the scary half of Drifloon's Pokédex entry first, only to say the rest after Goh was terrified. It's like when a character warns another character about something, but they only say half the warning, and they say the rest of the warning after the other character falls victim to whatever the warning is about. So the other character says, why didn't you tell me sooner? This is done purely for comedy. Normal Ash then says, there I go again, I am being so mean. Goh wonders once again what's wrong with Ash. He says that Ash is acting weird. Scary Ash says that Goh is such a pain because he is whining so much over a little joke. Scary Ash then says let's hurry up and keep moving. Meanwhile, Normal Ash is frustrated because he does not know what's wrong with him. The same green sphere that entered Ash's body earlier then appears. It's obvious that this sphere is the root of the problem. And Normal Ash is curious about the sphere. Scary Ash and Goh then open the door to the next train car and they find what is essentially a creepy forest, complete with Pumpkaboo. Goh is scared once again when he sees this and he wonders what's wrong with this train, while Scary Ash once again mocks Goh for being a scaredy cat. Normal Ash then exclaims, hey me, stop being so mean. Goh then says that he is not scared. So Scary Ash says, well then, you go first. But Goh is unsure, so Scary Ash says that they should play rock, paper, scissors to decide who should go first. Normal Ash says that this is more like it, as in Scary Ash is finally being fair. And he is essentially challenging Goh to a battle. Goh accepts and so the game of rock, paper, scissors begins. However, Scary Ash does not play fair. He throws his hand late. He waits for Goh to throw first and then he throws whatever wins. Goh does protest, but Scary Ash says that he is not doing anything wrong, and that Goh has no proof. Normal Ash then says, hey me, cheating is not good, and he apologizes to Goh, who is annoyed because he lost the game. Also, Pikachu is shown to be sad here because Ash is being so mean. Goh and Scary Ash then enter the train car with the creepy forest. Scary Ash scares an already terrified Goh by saying that there is a will-o-wisp up ahead. Not the move, mind you, an actual will-o-wisp. However, it turns out that the will-o-wisp in question is just a Sableye. Still, Scary Ash gets a good laugh out of Goh's fear. Scary Ash then says that there are zombies under the ground, which scares Goh. But the zombies turn out to be a group of Nincada. As usual, Scary Ash laughs. Pikachu on the other hand is clearly even sadder. Now when I saw the Nincada, I was immediately like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be a ghost train, so why are there Nincada here? I soon remembered Shedinja though, who is a ghost type Pokemon, so I figured that the Nincada might evolve, and all of them do indeed evolve into Ninjask. But Ninjask is not Shedinja, and in order to get a Shedinja, you need to have an extra Pokeball and an extra slot in the party when Nincada evolves, meaning that a trainer is needed, so I thought that perhaps we would not see Shedinja in this episode, since these Nincada that just evolved are wild Pokemon. Goh tries to back away from the Ninjask, but Scary Ash grabs Goh and Goh is continuously smacked by the Ninjask as they fly around, which I have to say is pretty funny, even though I know that it's not supposed to be funny. Pikachu then gets angry because Ash continues to be mean to Goh, so Pikachu uses Thunderbolt on Ash and Goh in order to stop Ash. This also breaks the windows of the train car and all the Ninjask fly out of the train as a result. An incapacitated Goh thanks Pikachu for his intervention, and then Goh's Pokedex says that Shedinja's data will be added to the Pokedex. Goh is confused and he takes out a Pokeball which does indeed have a Shedinja in it. Now I have said in the past that Goh catches Pokemon way too easily. Like Pokemon even walk up to Goh and they ask to be caught by him. And Goh even catches Pokemon on accident. But here in this episode he literally does nothing and yet he gets a new Pokemon. A Pokemon is pretty much given to him for free. Goh does not even throw a Pokeball. At least when he catches a Pokemon on accident, he at least throws a Pokeball. Or he tries to defend himself from an aggressive Pokemon. But to get Shedinja, Goh did absolutely nothing. He just got a free Pokemon, which is just so baffling. Also, in the games, you need to have Nincada in your party in order for you to get a Shedinja when Nincada evolves. But here in this episode, the evolution of a wild Nincada makes it so that a Shedinja appears in one of the Pokeballs that a nearby trainer has. I do think that this is cool though, and I guess that if Ash or Goh had more empty Pokeballs, then they would have gotten more Shedinja since multiple Nincada evolved. Also, Shedinja's Pokedex entry says that peering into the crack on its back is said to steal one's spirit. So in this shot, we the audience are in trouble. Scary Ash then pokes Shedinja, wondering how Shedinja appeared inside a Pokeball like that. But Goh tells Ash to stop and he withdraws Shedinja. The boy that Ash and Goh saw at the train station then enters the train car as well, and he wonders why there are humans aboard the ghost train, while normal Ash is like, oh, it's him. The entire train then shakes. The episode cuts to the first train car that Ash and Goh entered. It turns out that the stone that was on the outer is an odd keystone, and a Spiritomb has emerged from it. This is not surprising since the preview for the episode did show that a Spiritomb would appear in this episode, so I knew that this stone was an odd keystone that had a Spiritomb in it. The train continues to shake, so the boy and Goh look out the nearby window and they see how Spiritomb destroys the train car where it was being kept. The boy points out that Spiritomb woke up. Spiritomb then roars or screams and the boy says that Spiritomb is saying, "Return the spirit." Goh is surprised because the boy can understand Spiritomb, but the boy says that he can just sort of tell what Spiritomb is saying. They both then turn their attention to Ash, who looks just like a zombie now. His face is now purple, his left eye is now a swirl just like Spiritomb's left eye, and he says Spiritomb. Goh wonders what happened to Ash, and the boy says that Ash has an evil spirit inside of him. A spirit that was once housed within Spiritomb. This is not a surprise either, considering everything that has happened thus far. I even predicted that this would be the case in my preview discussion for this episode. Goh realizes that this is the reason why Ash has been acting strangely. Scary Ash continues to get close, again totally looking like a zombie. So Pikachu uses Thunderbolt to stop him, which is pretty funny. However, like a good zombie, Scary Ash keeps going despite taking damage. Goh avoids Ash and he then wonders if the boy knows how to return Ash back to normal. The train then shakes once again and a tree branch ends up falling, and it hits Scary Ash on the head. This finally knocks him out. Now I love that Grookey approaches Scary Ash and Grookey is then like, is he done for good this time? Which is totally what you would do when a resilient zombie is finally taken down. The train then keeps shaking and all the ghost-type Pokemon run as far away as possible from Spiritomb, and Goh says that at this rate, Spiritomb will derail the train. The boy says that this is not good since then, the Pokemon that live on the train won't have a home anymore. Goh says that he will stop Spiritomb, so the boy should help Ash. The boy is unsure, but Goh introduces himself and Ash. He says that Ash is his precious friend, and he begs for the boy's help. The boy says that he will try. Goh thanks the boy and he sends out Absol. Goh and Absol then run towards Spiritomb. The boy then calls for a Sinistea. The boy has an unconscious Ash drink from Sinistea. Now this was shown in the preview, and I mentioned in my preview discussion that Sinistea absorbs the life force of those who drink it, which means that Ash will not have a good day. But then I said that Sinestea's tea is also known for its terrible taste, so Ash might wake up because of this alone. Pikachu is concerned here because of this procedure, so the boy explains that Sinistea absorbs life force, so it might flush out the evil spirit, but that Sinistea also has a terrible taste. Ash soon wakes up and he jumps around complaining about the horrible taste. The episode then cuts to Goh and Absol, who finally reach Spiritomb. Goh tries to reason with Spiritomb, saying that they are trying to return the missing spirit, but Spiritomb does not listen and it uses Shadow Ball, which Absol counters with Night Slash. The episode then cuts back to Ash, who is still possessed, and he wonders what the boy did to him. The spirit then finally leaves Ash's body, and so Ash finally returns to normal. It's funny that in the end, both of the effects that Sinestea's tea has came into play just like I expected. Now the spirit panics and it hides in Ash's shadow. Ash then says, okay, if that's what you want, two can play this game, and he sends out Gengar. Finally, the star of the arc appears. Music even starts playing to show that yes, the star has arrived. The boy then comments that Gengar is a good choice for this situation. Gengar dives into Ash's shadow and it uses Psychic to stop the spirit. I love that Gengar does its classic troll face here as it uses Psychic. Ash then drags Gengar out of the shadow and Gengar has the spirit in hand. The boy then tells Ash and Gengar that they have to take the spirit to Spiritomb. Ash and Gengar both agree. The episode then cuts back to Goh. Absol runs around the train car avoiding every attack that Spiritomb dishes out. Spiritomb then fires off a barrage of Shadow Balls. Absol dodges the first two, but the last one seemingly hits Absol. However, when the smoke clears, Gengar is standing there like a total badass. Gengar protected Absol. Now it's worth noting that Gengar used Psychic to help Absol, who is levitating because of Psychic. But Absol is a Dark-type Pokemon, so Absol is immune to Psychic. Perhaps since Gengar is not using Psychic to attack, typing does not matter here. Goh is confused when he sees Gengar, but Ash soon shows up and Goh is very happy to see Ash, who confirms that he is indeed back to normal. Ash says that Gengar has the spirit and that they just need an opportunity to return it. So Ash and Goh get ready to battle. Spiritomb uses Shadow Ball, but Gengar easily avoids it and it dives into the shadows. Now for this one scene, Gengar looks different. The art style and animation seemingly changed just for this one moment. And I have to say that it looks pretty cool. Gengar then confuses Spiritomb by appearing in different places. This is essentially Whack-A-Gengar. And this is in line with Gengar's prankster personality. Absol then launches a piece of rubble into the air and towards Spiritomb. Gengar then emerges from this piece of rubble and it returns the spirit to Spiritomb, who finally calms down and it returns to the Odd Keystone, so case closed. The train soon stops and a group of Ghastly and Haunter board the train and they take the Odd Keystone with them. Goh wonders if it is okay that they are taking Spiritomb away, and the boy says that it's fine because Spiritomb wanted to go to the graveyard that the Ghastly and Haunter are taking it to. The boy says that the Ghost Train carries Ghost Pokemon. Goh wonders if the Ghost Train carries anything else, and the boy says, just me. So I was like, yeah, just you, and Bug-type Pokemon whose evolution creates a Ghost-type Pokemon. The train then soon reaches Stow-on-Side. Ash says that despite everything that happened, it was still a fun experience. The boy then looks at Gengar. The boy is clearly interested in Gengar, but he does not say anything, and he looks away when Gengar looks back at him. Ash then remembers that he must return the ticket, but when he turns around, he sees that the boy and the train are both gone. Ash and Goh are both confused, and they wonder if they were really on the train. Did the train even exist in the first place? This is like the classic horror movie ending that makes the characters wonder if they really did experience everything that happened, or was it just a nightmare? The episode ends with the ghost train in motion. The narrator says that perhaps someday, you too might ride this train by mistake like Ash and Goh did. Now you refers to the viewer, and I have to say that this did give me goosebumps. And it is the perfect way to end an episode that had the kind of story that you would tell at night near a campfire. So, overall, this was a great episode. Like I have mentioned several times before, I love Halloween, so I love any episode that has a scary, creepy vibe. And this episode had the Halloween atmosphere in spades. From the foggy and lonely platform that housed the ghost train to the train itself, which was filled with ghost-type Pokemon, where every train car was eerie and mysterious, and where the lights flickered to reveal further horror. It was all just very cool. Ash being possessed, which turned him into a scary and insane prankster, was also a nice touch, especially when the lights would flicker and Ash would go from normal to scary and back to normal and back to scary again. So this episode definitely gets a 10 out of 10 when it comes to its atmosphere and its aesthetics. It's just a shame that this episode did not air on or near Halloween, because it would have been the perfect episode for the occasion. Beyond this, it was cool that Ash's Gengar finally got some more time to shine in this episode, and I can't wait to see some more Gengar action in the next episode. It was also cool to see Allister, even though we did not really learn anything about him in this episode. And it was also really nice to finally see Goh's Absol in action. So yeah, this episode was great overall, and the next episode, which will pick up where this one ended, should also be pretty good, and I can't wait to watch it. But that's the video, as always. Leave your own thoughts down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and would like to see more like it, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I love Pokemon and I love making videos on both the anime and the games. Also, please consider clicking the links on screen so that you can check out more videos like this right away. Thank you very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.